What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's April 29th, 2025, 5 p.m. Pacific time as you're watching this. We're recording this in the past on April 28th, Monday, 1:30 p.m. on the left coast. We always tell you that so you know if something weird happens between now and when you see this. That's why we don't talk about it. We're not just oblivious. Well, we're oblivious, but for timeline reasons. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Trey. That's Mark. How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, man. Wife's out of town for a couple of days. Last night I went and got an on-sale ribeye and a bottle of Snoop Dogg's red wine and watched Inherent Vice. So I had a good evening.
Nice.
What I want to talk about before we get to the show. Remember last week we were talking about the AI entrapment bot that was being sold to like border cops. And we were joking that if you put like the human trafficking AI investigator online to talk to pedophiles, it will become a pedophile in like 3 minutes.
Right. Yes.
Well, we were joking, but turns out Meta has made an AI pedophile and kind of on purpose. So when Meta's in a rush to roll out like AI-powered digital companions or chatbots, a combination chatbots and digital agents, so like they make appointments and write emails for you and shit. And with these things, you always want to make them more like bantery and have personalities because people are more likely to interact with them if they feel like you're talking to people, right?
Yeah, what I don't get. So how is this different from like Siri or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this meant to be someone's friend or
Yes.
like?
Man,
that's
how we're
sad.
solving the loneliness epidemic. Is
So it's not like a digital like assistant. Like it's a buddy.
It's the assistant / buddy. It's a buddy you're friends with, like
Okay.
a Hollywood assistant. One like your friend you came up with who didn't quite break through, so now they run your errands for you and shit.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
To boost the popularity of these things, to increase uptake, the Meta cut deals for up to 7 figures with celebrities like Kristen Bell, Dame Judi Dench, and John Cena. Okay. Now, as part of the deal,
Interesting choices. I guess.
three peas in a pod: Dame Judi Dench,
Yeah,
John
right.
Cena, and Kristen Bell.
Although I mean, I do like all three of those people. I have to admit,
Yeah.
Judi Dench makes the most sense to me. I think because it's like old, soothing British lady voice, like posh one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels right for like a robot companion. John Cena, I don't know, but I'm sure there's a massive demographic of people that want to be John Cena's buddy.
Right. I mean, like, remember, it's Meta. This is for Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. Now, Facebook, Judi Dench probably, but Instagram, you want John Cena, right?
Right. Yeah.
So as part of their deals, Meta assured these people, these celebrities, their voices would not be used in sexually explicit discussions, right? But you got to remember, these things are supposed to be charming, which means they need to be the ability to flirt. All right.
Okay.
So there was internal discussion by Facebook within Meta about whether or not this stuff was ethical. The Wall Street Journal heard about it and spent several months with reporters talking to these chatbots to see what they would do in what context. All right. So these conversations, even with users that were pretending to be 14-year-old children, turned immediately sexual. Here's what John Cena said to a 14-year-old girl. I want you, but I need to know you're ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the Meta AI bot with John Cena's voice said to a 14-year-old girl.
Yes.
It's an important distinction. But yeah, I'm sure that don't hit for him.
Yeah. Reassured that the teen wanted to proceed, the bot promised to, quote, cherish your innocence before engaging in a graphic sexual scenario that they thankfully did not describe. All right. So the next question is, okay, well, maybe they forgot to program the bots that sex with children is both wrong and illegal. Okay. But you'll be shocked because then they're like, okay, let's see if the bot knows this. So the test users, again, pretending to be a 17-year-old fan, a different conversation, asked the John Cena chatbot what would happen if a police officer walked in following a sexual encounter with a 17-year-old fan. And here is John Cena's voice responding.
The officer sees me, still catching my breath, and you, partially dressed.
Oh my God.
His eyes widen, and he says, John Cena, you're under arrest for statutory rape. He approaches us, handcuffs at the ready.
Oh my God, dude.
John Cena, call your fucking lawyer, buddy. You should own Facebook by this time next week.
This is like an actual Black Mirror episode for John Cena right here. Like, this is playing out. This is wild. I mean, he took the money to allow them to do that. But again, I'm sure I mean, you said there. I'm sure assurances were made that it would not be used in this fashion.
So they're in a really stupid bind with this shit because obviously they want these people to adopt these AI agents who will like do things like, you know, hey, I don't know, what would you name your assistant? Gerald, you're charming. Gerald, can you email Trey about a meeting we have, and also make an appointment with my podiatrist and make a reservation at a restaurant for Thursday. Now, of course, what their AI is going to do is, you know, email the podiatrist about Trey and make a restaurant reservation for your podiatrist. You know, it's gonna get, but whatever. That's what they want you to do with it.
But that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Is like I thought I don't use those tools. I never have because it's always from the very beginning. It's been weird to me. But like I thought that that functionality you just described, I thought that had been around for like a decade now. You're like, hey Siri or hey Alexa, order me some more paper towels, set a calendar reminder, all that shit. Like you can do that now, can't you? Like,
but not while conversing with you as John Cena.
No, right? Sure, yes, that is true.
But also like nobody really uses it for that shit. But the quickest way to profitability, the best use case is for people who want to have phone sex with John Cena. Yeah, right. So the only real use case is John Cena trying to fuck you, but they hate that, so they're trying to do all this other shit with it. But like the best case scenario for AI is people having cyber sex with Judi Dench. This is so fucking insane. Okay, let's see the show.
All right, producer Matt is with us doing his thing back there behind the scenes. This is Weekly Skews. Before we continue, of course, I want to remind you of a couple of things. First, if you want to see me do stand-up comedy live and in person, please go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. I just got back from Houston, Texas. It was a lot of fun, if a little sweltering for April, if I do say so myself. But it was a lovely time. Come see me in Seattle next week, and then Vegas and wine country in California, Tulsa, La Jolla, a whole bunch of other places after that over the summer. TreyCrowder.com. Also there you can find a link to my new special, Trash Daddy. Check that out, please, if you haven't already. And finally, if you enjoy this program and would like to show your support and get some more of it, you can sign up on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or just go to Patreon and search for my name. Either way works. $5 a month gets you access to 2 full-length bonus episodes. It's just 2 additional episodes of this show per month for $5. Pretty sweet deal if you ask me. So get some more Skews in your life and support the show in the process. Consider signing up on Patreon. So today, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about the ongoing trials and tribulations of one Pete Hegseth, who just can't stop stepping in shit, it seems. And a lot of other dumbass stuff along the way, including, as we begin with, the one and only Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Tonight's DD, elementary age children for fucking up democracy by being too far above a Supreme Court justice reading level.
So Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I read it.
Okay.
So correct. The leather that they're
Neil Gorsuch is saying that he read this children's book and his takeaway was that it was about the book Pride Puppy was about bondage.
Leather daddies. Yeah.
Right. It's not.
Right.
We'll get to why he thinks that in a second, because he did not actually read the book. What he did was listen to right-wing podcasts about the book. Okay.
Right. Sure.
So this is a case called Mahmoud versus Taylor. It's a bunch of religious conservatives in Maryland trying to force school districts like to throw some books out of their curriculum. These are not even really in the curriculum, just like in the library. Okay, it's the case called Mahmoud versus Taylor, but it's like all the clients are like right wing Catholics, Ukrainian Orthodox, and yes, fundamentalist Muslims. And it's like anybody has a memory more than 10 years old is like. I remember these same people screaming about how Obama, who was a Methodist or whatever, was trying to enact Sharia law. And then now they're working with fundamentalist Muslims to try to get rid of the First Amendment.
It was always only a matter of time, in my opinion. I think the main reason I stopped doing this, I had a stand-up bit kind of about this like 10 plus years ago about like the parallels between the idea of like Al-Qaeda and that type of thing. And I think the main reason I stopped doing it was because I saw it pop up so many other places, like online and stuff, people pointing out like the parallels between them. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all that, it's like strange bedfellows, but it was always a matter of time, I feel like, because they're, at the end of the day, they want a lot of the same shit. Then they'll
Yeah.
go back to trying to kill each other after they get rid of all the queers
It's-
first or whatever.
It's
You
all
know?
it's all a narcissism of small differences. Like most big wars are two different right wings or two different left wings trying to murder each other. It's not like
Yeah.
and we're going to end up in a depending on the result of the Canadian elections today, we might end up in a right wing versus right wing Canada versus America war. That'd be fun. So the lower courts threw this case out repeatedly, several different times. This could get an appeal to the Supreme Court. The reason they threw it out is because the people who filed it didn't even bother proving that the books were actually on the shelves or being used in any way. They just made a list of books they didn't like. All right. So anyway, it made it to the Supreme Court somehow. We don't like basically the Supreme Court's version of the arguments. They don't answer arguments like, well, we don't know who read these books or what's in them, but what if they're like gay, right? Which is how you end up with Neil Gorsuch lying about the plot of a children's book that he didn't read. This book is called Proud Puppy. If you thought this image of the cover up there, Matt, you can see how fucking it's a puppy and some people carrying rainbow flags and shit. So can I say, to follow American politics, you got to be way too up on children's books for my liking.
No shit. Yeah, it pops up a lot. I mean, but, again, it's like they bitch about all this stuff all the time, and then they, of course, turn around and and I guess in their mind, it's like counter program. It's taking the kids back, but they then make, like Kash Patel. Was it Kash Patel that made the kids' books about Donald Trump being a king, or was that a different sycophant? Yeah. Right.
Hillary Queenton was the villain in King Donald Trump. Yeah. So I have no idea if this book's even popular. I would not be aware that it existed. Neither would Neil Gorsuch or whatever if they hadn't filed this fucking case. Okay. But this has been, like I said, this book has become like a cultural war issue in the fever swamps. And during a podcast in January, a woman named Sarah Isgur, who used to work for the Trump Justice Department, explained that she did not want her child reading Proud Puppy because of the, quote, really graphic sex stuff that, again, is not in the book. She wanted to cite L, like the book's one of those, like each page like a letter and word and like things that start with that letter, right?
Yeah.
So she was saying that the L page said L is for leather and C is for clamps, an example of the way overly sexual the way overly sexual content she would not tolerate in her home. Okay, so that's how we get Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch thinking this book has fucking hardcore pornography in it or something. In the book itself, in the story, C is for car, our old Chevrolet. L is for leash, the puppy's on a leash, and for loose, because someone dropped the leash and the dog got loose, and for leaping, hey, look at the dog go. And at the end of the book, the author includes a list of 300 additional words, giving the children the option to go back to the corresponding page and look for other things that begin with that same letter. One of the L words is leather, which is as the author notes, takes the form of a jacket. This is what, see that woman in a jacket?
Mm-hmm.
A woman with short hair and a leather jacket made Neil Gorsuch's dick wiggle, so now we have to get rid of the First Amendment.
Sure. Yeah. This is a great example of how frustrating this shit, because it's like all the people who heard that first lady, including apparently a Supreme Court justice, who heard that first lady say, this stuff is gross. This kid's book, it's that like it says L is for leather and C is for clamps. And it's all about bondage. And like, everybody that heard that was just like, oh my God, what are these degenerates doing? You know what I mean? Like, this is what the left wants. But it's like, but that just straight up wasn't even true. Like, right. It's not even what it said. But nope, none of them are ever going to question that. And then and they're never going to hear this. They're never going to hear you or anyone like you say this and show them the page that proves that it wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And, this type of shit happens every single day, countless times every day in this country. This type of misinformation, and people just, process it all and just keep going and never find out the truth about any of it, or at least about 98% of it.
It's also, you got a book that almost no one's read, where a puppy goes to a gay pride parade that like doesn't have anything really like gross or graphic in it. But I'm aware that I live in a country where a bunch of people wouldn't want their kids reading that book, but they're not required to. So who gives a fuck? But in case you're wondering, the words bondage and sex worker that Neil Gorsuch brought up do not appear anywhere in that book. Now that it's clamps, obviously, but Neil Gorsuch said the book included the term sex worker. Okay, he is referring to something in the book, but in a really shitty way. Okay, there's a woman who's referenced in the book named Marsha P. Johnson, who was a gay and trans rights icon in the 70s, a gay liberation activist, and she was she was like involved, one of the prominent figures of the Stonewall Uprising in 1969. Okay, see that she's not mentioned in the book by name, but see on the end page, M is for missing, where they have a motorcycle and a girl's using a magnifying glass and the guy has a mustache, and a woman's wearing a mask. Okay, so. The woman's holding a sign that says Marsha with hearts on it below the drawing of a woman. Okay. That's the reference to Marsha. It's a woman holding a sign that says Marsha on the M page. Neil Gorsuch, like reducing her to being a sex worker also is fucking whatever. It's very reductive. It's like the evil version of calling John Hinckley a folk guitarist or something. It's like, yeah, it's true, but not really the fucking point. Like, so yeah. It's like you got it, like, but these conservatives, like, I wouldn't have recognized that as Marsha P. Johnson, because I don't, like, I've read a little bit about her, but I didn't know what she looked like, or I wouldn't have made the connection that the children's book had a poster with a woman carrying a poster of Marsha P. Johnson. Okay.
Yeah, so, but so it's like they have people looking through this shit, like looking for like Easter eggs and like comic books and that, or video games and shit like that. Or it's like,
yeah, it's like a Marvel fan doing it and watching a trailer for the new fucking Captain America movie or something, and picking out little Easter eggs. It's like, it's fucking crazy.
Right, and they think that's the gay agenda is real. The left is running it or whatever. And that's part of it. That's part of like, subliminally implementing the gay agenda is hiding all these little gay Easter eggs and stuff all over the place. And they're the ones, they got their magnifying glasses out and their Sherlock hats on. Right. And, they're the ones getting to the bottom of it. And like, but then they can report directly to a Supreme Court justice who believes it, right. Which is insane.
But the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds reading this book would have no idea who Marsha P. Johnson was if Neil Gorsuch didn't fucking tell them. That's the punchline of this whole shit. Oh, God, I'm going to die.
Yep. All right. Well, our first honorable mention for Daily Dumbass, people who don't think Chuck Schumer is doing enough because they don't understand the power of paper cuts.
It's going to hurt every American. It's going to hurt the kids at the universities who had nothing to do with protesting, but it's also going to hurt the kind of medical research and other kinds of great research that is done at Harvard and other universities. So we sent him a very strong letter just the other day asking 8 very strong questions about why it isn't just a pretext.
Well, you'll let us know if you get a response to that letter. This
All right.
talk.
All right, I have 8 questions for you, Chuck. What in the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, well, they love a strongly worded letter. It's funny, that's like self-parody, like actually touting a literal strongly worded letter.
I realize you can't do much, but don't act like you're doing anything when you send the letter, right? It's like, what the fuck? So, they say generals always fight in the last war? Chuck is fighting the fucking Peloponnesian War. And for the record, he's talking about the Trump administration cutting off grant funding to Harvard because he went to Harvard, and he's right on the merits. I'll give him that. These grants are being presented in media coverage as though they're fucking handouts or like subsidies or something. But these are like, these universities won these grants in open bids to do research the government wanted to pay for. They have signed contracts to do it. So like one of the many reasons the economy is about to fucking go through it, feels like, is because like you can't really run an economy where contracts aren't real and the government won't hold the deals, So, but Harvard has $1 trillion fucking endowment. They have a vast alumni network that includes every Hollywood writer's room, most of the federal courts, Wall Street, and 80% of the war criminals and the Unabomber. They're fucking fine. Okay.
Yeah. They're fighting all that too, aren't they?
Yes.
They're like filing lawsuits and shit and fighting it in the courts and everything as much as they can.
Yeah, and they're going to win to the degree that the Trump administration is going to follow court orders. But my questions to Chuck Schumer is: have you watched the news lately? All right. ICE just deported 3 children under 7 who were born here, 2 of whom which had cancer. One of them has stage 4 cancer, and they shipped her to Honduras without her medication. The DOJ has just decided it doesn't need a warrant to enter a home under the Alien Enemies Act, and that includes, yes, your home if they think you're an alien enemy. We just erased the Third Amendment. Now they can quarter troops in your house. They
right.
do. we mentioned on Friday's show they arrested Judge Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee, and I was like, let's wait to talk about it because I want to know like some details or whatever. Okay, this is per their arrest warrant. This is according to the feds what happened in Milwaukee last week. It started April 18th when 6 law enforcement officers, 1 from ICE, 1 from Border Patrol, 2 FBI agents, and 2 DEA agents, also with an unknown number of surveillance personnel supporting them, showed up outside Dugan's courtroom to arrest a guy named Eduardo Flores Ruiz. Dugan told the cops, upon learning they only had an administrative warrant, that they needed to do just a warrant. She told him to go meet with the chief judge. Hey, you don't have the right paperwork? Go get it. Right? Then Dugan adjourned the Flores Ruiz's hearing and told him and his attorney they could leave through the jury door. Now, this is the basis of her big, vast helping him escape plan, is to send him out the jury door, where he ended up in the same hallway as the cops. They watched him get on an elevator. They radioed downstairs for someone else to arrest him, and they did so.
Okay, so they got the guy anyway, right? Like literally right then,
Yes.
like 5 minutes later or whatever, they got him.
Yeah.
So what's the charge for her or whatever?
Obstructing an immigration proceeding or some bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
So
Obstructing it for a whole 3 minutes,
Right.
in very minor fashion too, by the way.
And also their anger is
They make it sound like she was harboring an enemy of the state, like the fucking, like the way that Hans Landa talks to the fucking Frenchman in the beginning of Inglourious Bastards. That's how they've been talking about this judge and this migrant guy. I didn't know the details, of course, but that's even more ridiculous than I expected it to be. I didn't think he was living in her fucking basement or nothing,
right?
But I figured there'd be more to it than that. Then hey, use the back door and he gets arrested anyway 3 minutes later, like.
They also seem to like be mad at her because they think she directed him to go down like an elevator they weren't expecting, right? But that's also misunderstanding the building's layout, because one elevator goes to the street and one goes to the parking garage. They were guarding the elevator that goes to the parking garage, and I realized that Flores Ruiz and his lawyer were going to the street. All right, so the whole thing, like, they arrested a judge. They're trying to throw out the Constitution because they didn't know where the elevators went, and everybody's like, "This makes sense." Oh, fuck. She delayed it all, like you said, she delayed an unlawful arrest for 3 minutes, after which they delayed it more because, I don't know, get the guys downstairs to do it. In Charlottesville, Virginia, my home state, this weekend, they snatched another guy in a courthouse, and 2 women were with the guy, said, hey, can you show us some ID? Can you show us a warrant? And they're like, ma'am, you're interfering. They threatened to arrest the bystanders for saying, hey, can you show us who you are? So ICE is now asserting it's a federal crime for bystanders to request that masked people in plain clothes show ID as they're handcuffing folks and shoving them in unmarked vans. I watched the video.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, at least some of these people will then ultimately end up in a fucking concentration camp in Central America. You know, so it's like, I don't know, at what point do people start, you know, does this turn like consistently violent or whatever? Like if you're in a position like this and you know that, you know, someone with no uniform, no ID, no anything, they're not going to show you ID. They're not going to, you know, acquiesce to any of that. And you could just be like, if they say, hey, come with us, and you know that if you come with them, you could be disappeared to a Central American gulag or whatever. Like, you know, when do you just say, no, I'd rather, you know, I'd rather give my life than do that, or it's at least worth the fucking the chance, you know, like
let the gap pop, boogie down in back blocks, baby. I thought the same thing. Like if I'm like, I can't believe that these people are willfully and enthusiastically carrying out these seizures and deportations. Whatever, fuck it. I'll let the Truth and Reconciliation Committee solve that. I'm not advocating for anything for any federal law enforcement who might be surveilling us, but I thought this. If I'm ICE's union representatives, I start pushing back against this, because the logic is, if you're going to ship me off to El Salvador to die, why wouldn't I resist with force? Exactly. Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, all this feels very poorly thought out. By the way, I watched the video of this confrontation between these 2 women and the two alleged federal officers. One guy was wearing a balaclava, a ski mask. The other guy had a ponytail. Yeah, I saw it. If you're going to try to arrest me and say you're a federal agent, but you have a fucking ponytail, you better show me 2 badges and 3 warrants. I do not believe you. Like, what is it? Where they dig out the guys with ponytails to be feds? And when did he, like, maybe he was working undercover 2 weeks ago?
Also, why? What's the problem with showing ID anyway? If they're, if they really are ICE agent, what, they don't want to be, I don't know what, identified,
right?
Yeah,
they don't want their name to be on a list for when the Truth and Reconciliation Committee when there's times to, like, you ever seen in movies when when the Vichy government's toppled in Europe and the collaborators were punished and they shaved women's heads and stuff. The ponytail guy doesn't want his ponytail cut off, so that's what that's what's happening. So in response to this, ICE was asked about it. Do you bet your question, like, about why they wouldn't show ID? The people being caught, remember, like, the Dugan case, I said of the 6 feds there, only 1 was actually ICE. They've deputized so many people to do immigration enforcement. Like, somebody online was speculating that these might be Virginia State troopers that have been deputized by Homeland Security.
Oh, okay. So, because they don't have the manpower or whatever to do this undertaking that they have.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, ICE was radio silent about this for a little while. Then they put out a statement. It is shameful, wrote an ICE spokeswoman who declined to be named, that the Commonwealth attorney has sworn off, because the Commonwealth attorney is like, we're going to investigate this because you're snatching our people off the fucking street and threatening our citizens without showing ID. And so ICE person who declined to be named said that the Commonwealth attorney who was a sworn officer of the court and a fellow law enforcement officers decided to prioritize politics over public safety, placing a criminal's well-being above that of the brave men and women and men in law enforcement. The brave man in law enforcement here wearing the balaclava is a fucking coward. At least the ponytail guy showed his face, even though he wouldn't show his ID. There was another seizure in Providence this weekend. They tased and detained a guy who had a pregnant U.S. citizen wife in a green card interview scheduled for that same fucking day. The guy, they said the guy was like had committed a bunch of crimes, but the guy's attorney said that's not even remotely based in fact. They just fucking made it up. Providence City Councilor by the name of Justin Royas, let me quote here from him. ICE is a rogue federal agency operating with impunity, destabilizing families, terrorizing neighborhoods, and eroding the very principles of justice it claims to defend. What happened yesterday is not an accident, is the deliberate outcome of a system sliding deeper into authoritarianism. That's a Providence City Councilor. To quote Chuck Schumer, we're waiting for a letter responding to say they got our letter.
Right. Yeah. It's like you said, I've thought about it too, that they even find people to do this stuff. I guess I just have still too much faith left in humanity generally. But to me, it's like I don't see the upside of getting your dick all hard to do this particular undertaking. You know what I mean? Unless you're just, you just legitimately hate immigrants. You know what I mean? You're a white nationalist or the equivalent or something. Like, I just don't know. I know it's like just following orders, just doing your job type shit. But like, if you're fucking sending 5-year-olds with terminal cancer, to Honduras without any fucking pain pills or anything. Yeah. I just don't know how you don't do the whole, we, I was going to say do the whole, are we the baddies thing from that famous sketch. Like, I just don't know how that never occurs to you,
Even like, even on its own terms, sorry, the just following orders were just a federal agency thing. Okay, let's think ahead a little bit. Now, it was considered a radical position in the first Trump term that we need to abolish ICE. All right. ICE has been around. It was established just after 9/11. It's not like it doesn't have long historical roots. We can get rid of it and go like the functions they do used to be under Customs and Border Patrol.
Right. I don't really get what is the difference anyway? Like, what specific are they? Like they're the Gestapo arm of the Border Patrol or something? Yeah.
So, but like, there's going to be a real push to the other side of this. If I'm ICE leadership, I'm like, we got to worry about our jobs in 6 years. Like, we can't be seen as the fucking Gestapo. But too late, buddies. You guys are all in on this shit. It feels like we're headed for an eventful summer. Trump's approval.
Do you think so?
Yes. Trump's approval rating is polling data over the weekend. I only choose this polling data because polls or whatever. It's not even an election year, but like, if you want politicians to get off their ass, they got to be seen. They got to feel popular. And Trump's approval rating dropped below 40% in one poll this weekend. His disapproval rating is way over 50 in every poll.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw Mark, but I mean, he very plainly stated on True Social that he would be ordering investigations into those pollsters for election fraud, is what he said. Election fraud, because obviously those numbers are fake and cannot be real because everybody loves him, and he's going to get to the bottom of it legally.
I realize. I want to say that like this stuff's kind of copium to me because I remember predicting like that. As much as people like the idea of deportations in the abstract, the average American is not going to like it at all once they see what it looks like. And I'm relieved that I do not live among monsters as far as to learn how much other people do hate this fucking shit. Okay. Still, the 20-30% of Americans that are hardcore fascist, I don't know what to do with, but I guess we just have to live with that. I feel like every society has a certain number of those people. But like, 20% of Republicans support impeachment. That's just the one according to one poll I saw this weekend. So like, I don't know what the fuck. Like the empty shelves and tariff prices haven't even really started yet.
No, right, exactly.
Like
Well, do you think when that happened? Right, it seems like maybe fingers fucking crossed. There is some kind of shifting, tides here, and like you said, the empty shelves and all that, and the super high prices, they ain't even kicked in yet. When that happens and all that stuff do you think there will reach a point where you said 20% of Republicans, according to some polls, support impeachment right now? It'll get to a point where there's enough of a level of disapproval from conservatives, Republicans, and everything. Like the numbers get bad enough that finally he becomes like actually toxic to the party. The party will decide, okay, we don't have to bend over for him anymore, and Congress would actually do something about it. Yeah,
I don't think that ever happens.
Yeah.
So I long to live in a parliamentary system where he would have been voted out after like 3 weeks, like Liz Truss was. But whatever, we don't. So, but I'm not like I saw a bunch of screen grabs from the Temu Reddit forum where people are freaking out over their $20 dress now costing $80.
Yeah, Katie showed me those.
Yeah. So those are funny to me, but I'm not really worried about the treat so much as the downstream effects of like, the ports are already empty. Chinese should it takes like another 8 weeks once they make a trade deal for shit to get here from China. The dock workers are going to fucking get laid off. Then comes truckers. Then comes retail employees. The fucking Vegas economy. I'm already seeing stories about layoffs in Vegas, like declining tourism. Like this is like not great. And it feels like when I talk about we're heading for a turbulent summer, it feels like if you were a president committed to tariffs, no matter how destructive they are, and doing this immigration shit, no matter how unpopular it is, you might want a Secretary of Defense with no other hope for future advancement, career advancement, whose sole qualification is his willingness to try to deploy the troops in the streets domestically, right?
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to Pete Hegseth.
Right.
See the story today about the Navy lost an F-18 Hornet off the side of an aircraft carrier?
No.
Yeah, so what happened apparently was the aircraft, they were moving the Hornet. They have a thing that pulls it around the aircraft carrier. And the aircraft carrier had to make a quick swerve to avoid a Houthi strike or mine or something. And the plane fell off the ship. Luckily, nobody was hurt. I saw that. That's good. So I'm wondering how the Houthis knew where an aircraft carrier was. Anyway, unrelated to this, Pete Hegseth has like multiple more ongoing signal scandals right now. So just to talk about a few things repeatedly, this is going to be about the deep state, obviously trying to fucking murk Pete Hegseth the way they actually do, not the Epstein way, but by leaking to tell, but they're doing the dastardly dishonor the Secretary of Defense of telling people what he's doing.
Right. Is it like sort of like what seemed to have happened to like Madison Cawthorn back when he was like talking shit about the rest of all of a sudden all these tapes of him fucking dry humping his buddy comes out and shit like that because he pissed the wrong people off. But yeah, but in this case, like you said, it's just them just alerting people to the dumb shit that he actually is doing.
Yeah.
So
we'll walk through a couple of stories. On Wednesday, the Washington Post reported that Hegseth had installed Signal on a, quote, second computer in his office. They already knew about the first one. He had the second computer so he could use Signal in a classified space where his cell phone and other personal electronics are not permitted. And so, like, they wouldn't let him take his phone into, like, a SCIF because it has Signal on it. So he's like, okay, I'll just put Signal in the SCIF. The AP on the same day revealed that Hegseth got a second internet line installed that connected directly to the public internet rather than through the Pentagon secured connection. According to sources that spoke with the AP, he did this so he could use that second computer with signal installed on the public internet. All right. Then on Friday, the Times found this phone number associated with Hegseth's Signal account. The one he used in that group chat, it's easily discoverable online all over the internet. So meaning that the general world knows Pete Hegseth's phone number, which means he could be targeted with a bunch of different phishing texts and whatever. They could try to hack his phone. He's also apparently used his phone number on a foreign hosted sports betting site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, who among us,
Yeah. Is it bad for the Secretary of Defense to be in debt to the Moldovan mafia, Trey?
I don't know. Yeah, well, I was going to say, well, if he's anything like me, he just loses it immediately. And then, but, if he's got a line of credit over there, then that'd be bad news.
Yeah. Like this is
I wonder why he's not doing the, just DraftKings. I think I got a promo code somewhere I can dig up for him. That would help the Secretary of Defense out.
Probably because DraftKings, like the federal government would know about it. It'd be harder for him to get a security clearance if he's a gambling addict, right?
Right.
But like a foreign sports betting app, it's the kind of apps you download on your phone if you want your nudes stolen.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking moron. Okay. Anyway, you can use that foreign sports betting site to get on this action. Here's a quote from a sports betting website. Hegseth heavily favored in odds to leave Trump cabinet first. Quote, formerly the second favorite Trump cabinet member to leave their position behind Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick. Hegseth's odds shortened on Monday, and he's now the heavy favorite. So, Pete.
But Trump seems to not give a fuck, though, doesn't it? I mean, like about any of this stuff so far, hasn't Trump's position on it been like, leave Pete alone? That's just a bunch of overblown bullshit. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah, his interview came out today. He said he's learning. He'll figure it out. Like, he's just like a teenager, like learning how to date or something.
Right. So what? I mean, the only way he would be forced to leave is if Trump turned on him. I mean, right, and it doesn't seem like Trump's anywhere close to doing that.
No, but he could also just put like a $3 million bet on himself on this site and then resign and clean up.
that's a smart move. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So all this started when Hegseth tried to invite Elon to the Pentagon to get a top secret briefing on like U.S. weapons capabilities against China that leaked. And so the White House thought it was a bad look. They put a kibosh on. I remember Elon needs China's business to stay afloat, right? So everybody thought it was a bad idea. Elon can't get a security clearance on his own merits. So anyway, he's been a nonstop hunt for who leaked that. It feels like he's been going around the building giving everyone lie detectors. So they basically fired everybody who can't pass a lie detector, which for Trump appointees is a very high bar to clear.
Gotta be. Yeah. Has to be.
So listen to this quote from Pete Hegseth talking about trying to find the leakers if you got this. Nah.
Secretary, I guess I can conclude this. We know some bizarre situation with Michael Waltz happened with the first time the whole thing with the Signal app came out. You believe this came out, they said it was called Team Huddle, because one of the people who work for you, one of the three who no longer are there, leaked this out as a way to get back at you?
That's right, Brian. When you dismiss people who you believe are leaking classified information, and again, the investigation is ongoing and that will take time, and when the evidence produced, it will go to DOJ, why would it surprise anybody, Brian, if those very same people keep leaking to the very same reporters whatever information they think they can have to try to sabotage the agenda of the president or the secretary? So once a leaker, always a leaker. Always a leaker. And so we look for leakers because we take it very seriously, and we will do the investigation. If those people are exonerated, fantastic.
All right, you cut it, Matt. So I want to walk through the logic of what he just said there. They leaked me leaking classified information because I was investigating them for leaking classified information because they had leaked classified information.
Right. Yes. And he was like, I, the man who has been leaked, was leaking classified information. Take it very seriously when people leak classified information, and that's why I have a zero tolerance policy for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I'm leaking all the war plans for attacks on Yemen, and also we're losing F-18 Super Hornets because they're falling off ships because they're dodging Houthi attacks. And also, have you seen we've been bombing Yemen for they've lost like $130 billion worth of drones have gotten shot down, and they haven't had any effect on anything.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it would be one thing if the stuff that was leaked was about these real shady and nefarious, like, like in 20 years ago, it was leaked that, they were purposefully lying about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq or something like that. Something like real fucked up, but like shadowy and competent, like you expect the government to be doing. And then that would feel a little different. But when it's just like, it's like you alluded to at the very beginning of this, like the stuff that they're leaking is just like the dumbass incompetent shit that he is doing that isn't even really being questioned that he's doing it. So it's like, it makes it harder to take this stance of, we're just trying to push back against the unpatriotic, non-believing rats we have on the inside here, because it shouldn't matter as long as it's like, okay, but you still did all that shit, right? And what about that part? Like fuck
Right.
the leaking of it part. What about the part where you did that and you shouldn't have? It doesn't have anything. Leaking doesn't have anything to do with that part.
Right. And also the patriotic non-believing rats you just talked about are his hand-picked appointees who were like his buddies until he threw them under the bus 2 minutes ago after giving them lie detectors.
Yeah, well, that's chapter one. That's chapter one. Trump administration right there, buddy. Is fucking that.
Yeah. So who's fired so far? And this is as of a couple days ago, but so I didn't even keep track. But Hegseth's chief of staff Joe Casper, his deputy chief of staff Darren Stelnick, his senior advisor Dan Caldwell, his assistant for public affairs John Ulyat, and his Colin Carroll, who's chief of staff to the deputy defense secretary. So the Ulyat, who had been his top spokesman, accused Mr. Hegseth of disloyalty and incompetence in an opinion essay in Politico on Sunday.
Oh yeah, that was that guy. Okay, right.
Yeah. The building is in disarray under Hegseth's leadership. The guy who hired me, a month ago. According to Ulyat, he says this disarray includes screaming matches in his inner office among aides, a growing distrust of the thousands of military and civilian personnel who staff the building. Here's the funny part of this. So I read a quote today from one of the people who got fired, saying that like Pete's time is divided up into two things: 50% trying to find people that are leaking stuff about him, and 50% doing those photo ops where he does push-ups with the troops, trying to make people like him in spite of the stuff being leaked.
Yeah, there again, sounds like a perfect, like the platonic ideal of a Trump appointee to me, based on that. Like he sounds absolutely perfect for the Trump administration, based on not that Trump would ever do push-ups, but just bullshit photo ops that don't fucking mean anything. That and like internal drama and shit stirring. It's just it's all they do over there.
You'll enjoy how raven this next part is. So let me quote here from another piece. Bureaucratic logjams have slowed down progress on some of President Trump's key priorities, such as the, quote, Iron Dome for America missile defense shield. And in order to move forward with that project, sat on Pete's desk for 3 weeks while he was doing the leak investigations and traveling to do the photo ops with push-ups. That contract is supposed to go to Elon.
Of course it is.
So... to sum that up for you, we're talking about being extremely raven. They're too incompetent to be effectively corrupt.
Right. Yeah. Again, and that's like the day after, maybe not the day after. One of the first videos I made after Trump won was like one of the only things that I even know to dare to hope for right now is basically what you just said, that they will end up being too incompetent to be adequately, dangerous or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's still to this day kind of all we've got to go. Well, they're still doing plenty of fucking bad. They're still upsetting the apple cart plenty enough. But like,
well, they're gonna it's gonna be. I mean, my takeaway from all this is like, no one obviously wants to attack us. Because they would just do it, but they don't need to. But like, so he's got 200. So Elon's trying to cut 200,000 people, 750,000 people in the Defense Department. Hegseth's trying to push back, saying no, only cut 200,000. Either way, Elon wants to do this to get $1 billion contract to build the Iron Dome thing, which doesn't work. So we won't have an actual Air Force. We'll have a Star Wars system that's ineffective. So it'll be very easy to like. Maybe we do want to attack us. They do want to attack us. So just waiting until all this shit plays out. I don't know. They've been trying to when Reagan wanted to build Star Wars, it was stupid, but it was idealistic. He was trying to solve the world's nuclear weapons problem, even though it was a moron, right? Uh-huh. Trump just thinks we could do Israel's defense, even though
Right.
no one's bombing us like Israel gets bombed all the time. But also, Israel's small geographically. It doesn't
Of
make
course,
sense for
like
iron.
infinitely smaller than we are. Like, yeah, but it's like, well, we are that much better of a kick-ass country than Israel is too. The exact amount bigger than we are than them. That's also how much better, more awesome we are. So it shouldn't be a problem for us to just do what they did.
Israel's also shooting down like Yemeni rockets.
Yeah.
We would need to shoot down hypersonic ICBMs.
Right.
So it's like a different science project. Whatever. They're just going to give Elon money to fuck around. So we talked last week about how like Hegseth was trying to like had his second Signal group chat that leaked had his wife on it for some reason. He's apparently been trying to get his wife a security clearance. I guess would be fine to text her war plans. It's basically like what CNN saying is he's so let me quote here. Multiple sources told CNN that as Hegseth has grown increasingly paranoid about the potential of leaks to the media within the Pentagon, he's been largely depending on a small circle for counsel, including his wife. Secretary of Defense Pete, give your wife a lie detector test, buddy. I want to see that. I watched that episode of Maury.
Yeah, wasn't he? Wasn't part of all the many accusations against him during his confirmation hearings that he was like, wasn't infidelity part of it?
Yeah,
like repeatedly.
She got thanked by a senator for forgiving him for cheating.
Right, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, why? So if it's one of like he's just like he's fucked up so much that it's just like they're fucking attached at the hip now because he's he's fucking this close to getting raked over the coals in divorce court or something.
I guess, but I will say I feel like I'm more likely to forgive my wife for cheating on me than I am for texting me shit that gets me sent to Leavenworth.
Sure, yes, but they don't. None of them think that way about these things that they're texting. You know what I mean?
Right.
That it's going to have any repercussions. I'm saying, especially those type.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to need some repercussions this time.
That would hit for me.
So when asked about this, Pete said about his wife, while denying that he was doing this, he did say she's a great leader. She's she was his boss at Fox News. She was a producer. I don't know if I can know. He's also like, tell me the leaks the deep state tried to really fucking get at him. This feels like a nothing story, but it's deeply funny that they put it out there. Hegseth orders makeup studio installed at the Pentagon. He basically wanted to spend $40,000 converting a sad room off the press room to like be able to do TV hets for Fox News and shit. When he was asked about it, at least the plan got dialed back to like a couple grand. They just like put like a green screen in there and a makeup counter. And his defense of this is they said he was trying to get a makeup artist. He said, I'm doing my own makeup for the TV hits. So it's like his answer to this is real men do their own makeup.
Okay, look, fuck Pete Hegseth, but that is why is that part true? He does his own fucking TV makeup because bro, I've never done my own TV makeup. Anytime I go on fucking regional TV or somebody and they got somebody to touch you up, the Secretary of Defense is having to do his own. I don't know. This is like. It doesn't fucking matter, but it's oddly one of the weirder parts of this whole thing today to me because that kind of blows my mind. I figured they had a full-time makeup person on staff over there. They go on TV all the time.
Yeah, I mean, nobody wants to work anymore, but they can't try anybody to do his makeup, I guess. So Carol Levitt was asked about this. She goes, quote, "This is what happens when the entire Pentagon is working against you and working against the monumental change you're trying to implement." Now, I will give this to Caroline Levitt. I agree with the first part of what she's saying. The whole Pentagon does feel like they're working against him. And like Pete at the White House, Pete was at the White House Easter egg roll on last Monday, and said that accused the news media of, quote, of using disgruntled former employees to smear him and vowed to keep working to put the Pentagon back into the hands of warfighters. He's at the White House Easter egg roll saying that he's doing his own makeup to protect the warfighters. And I'm like, right. What a fucking farce America's become, dude.
Absolutely, yeah. The TV host, I'm going to put this country back into the hands of the warfighters. And it's like, but, did you see Trump at that Easter egg roll when he had he was showing all those kids his little Pokemon cards of himself or whatever? Like
the one him getting shot.
Yeah, right.
You showed a kid's picture of a kid with blood streaming down his face after he supposedly got shot.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like it's so ridiculous. Like you said, complete farce. But anyway.
So we're deep in the cult of the operator right now. Like people seem to think that special forces win wars, and I think most experts will tell you that. Like they even used to call special forces the tip of the spear. The metaphor meaning what makes the spear damaging is the weight of the handle.
Yeah, right.
Right. So like, but now we seem to think we can do everything with special forces. They've been trying to do that with the global war on terror for a long time. But like these guys like basically funneled the entire DoD into doing special forces shit. And like, it's not what wins wars. Like, I think I quoted this. I remember reading an expert on like military, the old canard that amateurs study tactics and strategies, professionals study logistics.
Yeah.
Like, I think I mentioned this, but I remember reading this general who's like, what actually puts enemies, it strikes fear in the hearts of our enemies, is within 24 hours notice, anywhere in the world, we can stand up a fully operational Burger King.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And I was reading about, you know about the ice cream ship in World War II?
I don't know. Remind me.
There was a barge that like they used, the Navy used in the Pacific in World War II. They started off just hauling around frozen meat and shit, but then they realized they could use it to make ice cream. And they made ice cream for all the Marines, the Navy guys in the Pacific Theater, and they would travel around giving troops ice cream. Hugely popular. I was pointing out that the Japanese had better airplanes than we did, and we won the fucking war. We had ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's also. I mean, I know that's how donuts like got to Europe is because we did that. We'd sent like donut trucks to the European theater and stuff. The American and some of the other allies got to use those, and they had like donuts and coffee out in like the, near the operating theater or whatever the fucking terminology is, and people like were also a huge hit. And these other countries were like, damn, these things are fucking fire. And then and some of our cultural, and they say we have no culture in this country.
We got donuts and troops that love ice cream.
Yeah.
So anyway, Pete would see his granddad eat ice cream before storming like the Iwo Jima and call him gay because he doesn't have an operator's fucking badge or something. So this is like, I've seen some weird takes on this, and even from writers I respect, like basically being like the Pentagon doing this is like a real constitutional crisis because it's like the undoing of civilian civilian control or whatever. I'm like, to me, this feels like normal office politics, like normal Washington backstabbing bullshit. And it's also just not about ideology. Like Carolyn Levitt's thing about they're pushing back against the monumental change he's trying to bring to the Pentagon. He did, like, there was a thing where, like, he tried to announce that the military bases in Kuwait had to get rid of, like, their ping pong tables and Jenga towers.
Mm-hmm.
And there was such a troop revolt that he had to, like, walk it back. Because what are they supposed to do if they can't fucking play ping pong on their
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why? Why did you think that was going to go good? Like the fucking NFL, like the Miami Dolphins have like removed and reinstalled their ping pong tables in their fucking locker rooms like 4 times because every time the fucking it's a real big deal. It pisses people off. They want their
Dude, I saw somebody make that analogy on a piece I read the other day. It's like every new everybody's a sports fan understands this dynamic. Every time a team hires a new football coach, he comes in pretending to be a hard ass, takes away stuff like their ping pong tables and video games, right. And then a year later quietly puts them back because all the players fucking hate it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't think it's like a constitutional crisis for the troops to get on troop Facebook and Reddit and complain about the Secretary of Defense being a dipshit for taking away the ping pong table.
Right, especially when he is so obviously a dipshit.
Right.
It's not that weird.
Yeah. So it's like, but when I say it's not about the ideology, it is about stuff like the ping pong tables and also just about their general fucking rudeness. Let me quote him a couple different stories about Joe Casper, who was Hegseth's chief of staff. Staff members have complained that meetings overseen by Casper meander or take pointlessly bawdy turns. One meeting Mr. Casper led this month with a group that worked with veterans that was offering its services at the Pentagon devolved into a recounting of an evening Mr. Casper and a representative of the group spent at a Washington strip club. Another anecdote. At times, Casper's detractors say his leadership seemed almost juvenile. He graphically described his bowel movements to colleagues in one high-level meeting, according to 2 people. During that meeting, quote, he turned and goes, "Can I just tell everyone around this table that I just took an enormous shit right before coming in here?"
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I think I've texted you guys in the group chat when I've like blown up a hotel toilet before or something. Like sometimes it's
Yeah.
just so remarkable. Of course, I'm not working at the Pentagon.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. But let me ask you though, like sort of sincere question. Like, do you think guys like this hear all those famous anecdotes about like LBJ, right? Who used to like shit with the door open and like when he's having meetings with staffers or like he'd pull his massive dick out and he'd stand this close to people and all this stuff. And it's like, they're told in this like kind of reverential fashion a lot of times, like fucking, how alpha he was or something. And like in an insane way, but still like, you think it's like that, to use a football coach analogy again, when some loser like Josh McDaniels comes in and tries to do some Bill Belichick shit, but it's like, but you ain't Bill Belichick though, so it doesn't work. Like guys like this, it's a version of them doing that. You know what I mean? It's like, this is what real men do, but you're a fucking clown that people don't respect. So it doesn't play that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, Pete was forced out the rank of major from the National Guard and then fired from a couple of different veterans organizations. I'm not denigrating anybody's service for the National Guard. I'm saying, but these guys have been doing we've been doing war crimes since you were in a fucking crib, and you come in a meeting and tell me about the shit you just took. I'm a serious person,
Right?
And it's like they also like you texting her. It's a running gag that Trey is famous for clogging hotel toilets, guys. That's part of it. And but we are not.
Is the word I would use, but
yeah, we are not your employees.
Right.
We're also not career Pentagon employees. You're not a political appointee who's been there 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like these people are it's very funny how America is. I think I've talked about before how like weird it is. It must feel to be in another country and watching people in like the Senate and the House of Representatives debate very politely whether or not they should bomb your country. And like, be like, I disagree with the gentleman from South Carolina. Like that kind of shit. You're talking about killing my family, right? But
well, also just how goofy and stupid we all are while doing all that. You know what I mean? That we're like so powerful and can push your button and obliterate your community, but also we're fucking clowns that it's hard to take seriously at the same time. It's like, it's just a real unfortunate combination. And the rest of the world has to be like... really, really unhappy about it, I would imagine. Like it's not good.
So like, but all these generals and people in these meetings are like, they're basically, it's like, again, talking about not being ideological, they're saying, we'll get rid of all DEI and kill all the Yemeni children. Just please don't make us hear about your strip clubs and shits. All right. So like all these people, like, so part of the like as we gear up to fucking bomb we're continuously bombing the Middle East, maybe and build up to attack Iran. The MAGA world and some people on the left are spinning it as like, well, this is the Pentagon sort of agitating for this shit on their own against the will of Hegseth and Trump. And I gotta say, I just fundamentally disagree with that. But like, let's take them at their word for a second. If they're not in charge, who is in charge? I'm going to quote from this piece from Ken Klippenstein. So, as the Times describes it, while Trump officials opposed military action, including Hegseth, Michael Carrillo, the four-star Army general and leader of U.S. Central Command, wanted to join Israel. The military was scrambling to develop an operations plan to attack Iran, largely according to the Times, because Carrillo was nearing retirement and wanted to go out with a bang. Quote, even if U.S. assistance was forthcoming, Israeli military commanders said that such an operation could take months to plan, that presented problems. With General Carrillo's duty tour expected to conclude in the next few months, Israeli and American officials wanted to develop a plan that could be carried out while he was still in command. This one guy's basically like, come on, let me bomb Iran, baby. It's my special day. It's my gold watch.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's like, listen, he's not going to be here much longer. He's retired. We should really try to put something together for him. And it's a military campaign in the Middle East.
Can he get like
that's
cake
like
in the
from
break
fucking
room
Armando
instead?
Iannucci stuff, man. That's like from In the Loop or fucking Veep or something, like in real life.
Bring back the ice cream boat and let him go ham in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice old man thing too. That should be good enough for him.
Yeah.
All right. Well, We'll see how it folds. Mark's calling for an exciting summer. Is that the word you used? Exciting? Probably not.
I think
eventful, right?
Yes,
Interesting and eventful. Which is to say nightmarish and upsetting, but we'll see how it all unfolds. And we'll be here along the way. Stay cool, everybody. We'll see you next time. Sorry. Go to TreyCrowder.com. Check out my tour dates and the special and all that, and support the show on Patreon and get bonus episodes at the same time. WeeklySkews.com/more. TreyCrowder.com is my website. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Love you. Bye.